Right, hello and welcome to this week's angling blog. Today you join me in search of silvers on the float rod. It's the first week this week where we've had proper temperatures into the 20s. As you can see behind me, the sun's up. I did think about coming out for carp today, but for a long time now I've been really itching to get out and have a session on this pool just on the float rod and maggot. It's had a lot of colour because of the recent rain, and now the clarity's come back. So today, with the sun on my back for the first day, I'm just going to have a couple of casts with maggot and hemp and see what comes along. Basically, set up for the day is my 14-foot Drennan Aculite. I've got that down to a 4000 Piscifun reel, 4-pound line. At the business end, a simple insert waggler with a rubber, and we've got a 1/7 hook link down to a size 18 hook. What we'll do is we'll have a look at the swim and the tactics that we're going to do today and the side tray. Right, and there's my seat box for today. Never come down level with the box. The reason why I've chose this swim is the open water on this pool here. It's quite deep down that end, 10-15 foot deep, but up this end it's about 5 to 6, and that is why I've chose this end. It's just easier to float fishing, easier to float fish. I'm not going to line up with that tree, and I'm going to use the branches of it to give me a dark background to aim to. And obviously, with there being a lot of carp in here, I've chose this swim because there's a lot of open water should we hit one to have a chance of getting a carp out. There are a lot of small carp in here. There's some big ones as we've seen, that 16-pounder. I'll put a link at the top now to that video. But today it's just about seeing what we can catch on the rod and line and sit back and just relax. It's been a long week in work, and today whatever comes along comes along. Right, so there's the side tray for today. Cheshire particle hemp. I've got a pint of white maggots in there, or I think a pint and a half, and some ground bait, and I'm going to add a bit more water to it because what I want this ground bait to do this week is obviously attracting the roach but also cloud the water. As you can see there, the water's quite clear, and this is still a bit dry, but when you chuck it in you can see it creates a cloud as it goes down, and that cloud is what I want today. So when you add a bit more water you get an even better effect from the cloud. So yeah, that's the plan for today. That's the swim. Let's see if we can get a fish or two. Right, so that's a good sign. Just setting the weight on the float to get the depth. Pop the maggot on and the float slid away, so it's a good start. That's what we want. Hopefully Mr. Carp plays ball today and we get a good net of these. Probably about 3 rod lengths out, and at start I'm just going to drip feed maggots over the top just to see what comes along. And so we've just had that skimmer first cast, so there's 1 or 2 about, and we'll see how we get on. And there we go, first nice roach of the day, second fish of the day, and it's a good start. That skimmer and that roach, a fantastic start. I say I don't want to dwell on it too much on this video, but the biggest problems we're going to face are obviously carp and pike. There's a lot of small pike in here as well, so yeah, a good start. Hopefully we can get a couple of fish on the bank. Just drip feeding maggots and a few grains of hemp over the top, and we'll see how we go. And there we go, Mr. Pike has just took the first roach of the day, and hopefully there we go, 1 lucky roach. Mr. Pike's just been in and had him, and I say that's the problem really. He's been at me net, and that's probably one of the luckiest roach alive at the moment, but he's about, I say Mr. Pike's been at me net and he's just nabbed him on the way in, so I'd say we're in trouble. Right, and there we go, very next cast. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. Bitten clean off. Pike jumped clean out the water and took a roach as I was bringing it in. So yeah, I think we're in trouble. Let's get another hook on and see how we do. Right, so as you've seen there, the pike's bit straight through the line. The problem is it's only a small pike, and I think there's more than one of them. Only about 2 or 3 pound. Now if it was 6 or 7, then you could have an idea of getting the lure rod out and trying to catch it and move it further down the bank. But jack pike like that just generally don't stop. They keep coming and they keep coming. So yeah, so I put a new hook on. I'm going to make a couple of casts, see how we get on, and if it continues then we'll obviously have a decision to make. Right, as you can see there, just hooked into first better fish of the day, a nice bream. So we get him in the landing net and have a look at him. Right, and there's that bream. I say I think he bears a few marks from a recent encounter with a pike, and that's the problem. I say you can have a very nice day on here for the silvers if that pike will just keep off us. But yeah, a lovely fish. Look at the gold in its head and bronze. A nice palm full of bream, and hopefully if Mr. Pike stays off us we can get a few fish. And so we've had a nice roach, a few small roach, and then this one. So let's get him in the net. It does worry me at times as to, you know, where angling is. It's a lovely blue summer's day. There's carp on the top, there's carp sucking on the top, there's all types of fish in here. Roach, as we've seen, bream, pike. It's a bite of chuck for the roach even when the pike are about, and yet look at it, absolutely empty. And you're in the middle of a town here and there's not a soul on the bank, which some anglers see it as a good thing. You've got the water to yourself. To me it's a sad sight that there's nobody on the bank, no kids on the bank enjoying this mecca in the middle of a town. Really sad to see. I mean, it's a beautiful water and it's got everything. I really do wonder at times what direction angling's going in. We do seem to live in a world that's obsessed with, if a carp's not above £20 it's not worth going for, and roach and silvers just seem lost at times to the youngsters coming through. Yeah, a sad sight to see such an empty water. Right, so that pike's back again, and he's had 2 fish off me. Well, 3 I think he's had. But we've got him on, and I think we've hooked him in the lip this time. So let's see if we can get him in and move him down the other end of the pool. So let's see if we can get him in. So the only way you get these in, lucky enough, is if you hook them in the top of the lip. As you can see there's me hook, and I've nicked him right on the top of his mouth. So yeah, you have to get very lucky to get him in, and hopefully if we move him down the other end of the pool, that's at least one of them out of the way, and leave him to go about his business chasing the roach down the other end. Now I'm going to put him in down the other end of the pool, and hopefully we don't see him again. But with these guys, they just keep coming even after you've caught them. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him again. We'll make a note of his fin there, because his fin's got a bit of damage to it, and at the back. So if we have a look at that, we'll see if we see him again, as I wouldn't be surprised if we did. So let's go and let him go. One big splash, he's gone. Like I say, that's where we've dropped him off. And we're right down the bottom end there. So hopefully we won't see him again. But I don't think he's the last one. I think there's another one in there as well. Right, so I've just let that pike go down the other end of the pool. Just come back, and as I say, it must be daily life for these fish to be chased. I can't see any more pike around the margins here, so hopefully we don't see that pike again. He stays down the other end and we can begin to build a swim. When there's a pike going around your swim like that, it doesn't help the fishing. It keeps the pike, the bites are always edgy from your roach because they're constantly being pestered by the pike. And I say, I've just come back now and already getting plenty of bites. Like before it was quite quiet, and I think that pike was in and out the swim as well as it underneath my feet down here. So yeah, what I'm going to do now, the sun's out, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to just keep making casts and see what comes along. I'll put on a little few clips now of me fishing the rest of the next hour or two and see what we get. And if we get any better fish, I'll do a quick vlog of them. So with all your fishing, like I've said before, you need to have a method to your madness, and I'm just feeding 5 or 6 maggots every single cast, and obviously getting a lot of bites, so making lots of casts, and every so often just putting a bit of hemp over the top to try and keep the bait on the bottom, trying to keep the, you know, some fish on the bottom. The way I've got my float set is strung out number 8, so I want a slow fall through the water. Any deviation in that fall is a bite, and obviously once it settles, you're on the bottom, and you want to try and keep as many of them fish on the bottom, and the hemp will help do that. But yeah, just feeding 5 or 6 maggots and a pouch of hemp every probably 5 minutes, hoping to attract some of the better fish in. Right, so hemp seed, if there's one question I get asked about bait wise more than any other, it's hemp. I get mine from Cheshire Particle Hemp, as you know, and the reason I use it is it's a holding bait. It keeps fish in the area and attracts them in. Obviously roach love it. The maggots fall quite slowly, but the hemp is heavier, and you know you've got some bait on the bottom in that area, and that is the reason for using it. It's just a great holding bait. Right, so as a kid growing up, this is the type of fishing I did on the canal, and it was always great when you got a breeze on it. Just a gentle breeze like it's on this swim now, and it's just enough to give that bait a bit of movement. And when you're fishing for small fish like roach, which are attracted mainly by movement, it's good for the bites. Well, I shouldn't laugh. Another lucky roach. It took it on the drop. Slightly better one than they've been getting. They have been a lot smaller. And a pike about 5 or 6 pounds, clear out the water. Absolutely nailed him. I don't know how he hasn't got a mark on him. He must have a bite mark on him somewhere. And that was a much better pike, but that was right in the swim. So yeah, there's another pike on the prowl in the swim this time. So yeah, awesome sight to see, but not great for the fishing. As I say, that's a slightly better roach than what I've been getting as well. So yeah, not a good sign. Right, and that's why it's so hard today to build the swim. When you're getting pike moving in like that, scattering the shoal, you know, better fish start moving in, the pike follow, scatter the shoal, and then you're back to square one. There we go. I don't know whether you just saw there, but on that last fish before this one, the pike swirl cleared out the water for the roach. And this guy I thought was game over. You see me scrambling for the net to get it in. Yeah, I hope the camera picked that up. As I say, he hit the fish, a massive swirl as the pike come for the last one. And then when I hit into this better fish, I thought his days were numbered. So yeah, as I say, that's what it's like. As you can see, it's out there in the swim, actively feeding, and that's why it's so hard. I think if the pike weren't so active, you'd get a good net of these size roach moving, but they just won't settle with the pike, you know, rampaging through them. So yeah, I'm going to get back to it. Right, and there we go, another roach. And like in the last video on the feeder on the other venue, the cormorants are the predators on there, and the pike are the ones on here. And what they do, they keep a healthy stock of fish, because only the strong survive, and all these roach are fin perfect. I said the sun's shining on it a bit there, but a lovely example of a roach, and great fun, blue skies and roach in the palm. Lovely spring summer day on the bank. Another one to miss the pike. Fish come up on top, and that was a different pike. That was a much smaller one. I wonder whether our friend has returned. It was about that size, but yeah, time to tie on another hook link. A couple of chucks with the lure rod and managed to get him. And so let's see if it's the same one from this morning. I guess I'll have to look at the video later on to see, but it's looking about the same size, isn't he? Let's get him in the net and have a look. Really quickly, because we're in the middle of the day, it is quite warm. There's that pike. I don't think it's the same one because he hasn't got the cuts on the bottom, but he has got a lot of damage to his fin, so we'll have a look on the footage later, or drop a message in the comments below if you think it's the same one. And I say, there's a few roach gone down that today, and you probably can't see that down there, but looking at me net there is another pike. I've literally just put that one back on the lure, and there's now another one looking into me net. I don't know whether you're going to be able to see it or not, but right down there, whether I stand up and spook it, there you go, whether you're seeing it spook off then. And literally another one at me net, a smaller one like, but I think it's getting close to time to calling it a day, because the game ain't fun no more. Right, so with the third pike at me net, we'll call this one the last one of the day. I'm a bit concerned now that my net's going to end up looking like Swiss cheese, so what I'm going to do is we'll get this one back, and then we'll have a look at the final net and see how we've done. I think we've done alright, considering we've had pike all over the swim. But yeah, a nice roach in miniature to finish the session off. So let's have a look at that final net. Right, so there's the final net of fish. As you can see, there's some better roach in that. A lot of small stuff. The aim is today, obviously, the sun on the back and to get a few bites, and every one of them is a bite. So it's been an enjoyable day on the bank. As I say, a good healthy ecosystem with fish of all year classes, a couple of bream, and I say I can only imagine what it would have been like had we not had, well, we've had 2 pike on the bank, we've got a third at a net now, and they've been well, as you've seen, they've been swirling in the swim all day. So a good net considering. Set lines in your own fishing. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all next week.